is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
How good is that?
Let's talk about cheating for a minute. There was this survey, and this is what I want to ask. If you've cheated because they did, that was your
retaliation
excuse,
cheat.
because this is what the survey states. As far as women go, usually they will cheat if they think that their partner has been unfaithful, or if they have the evidence that they have been betrayed first. You know, you did it first, and so the only way that I can feel as though we have a level playing field again is if I go out and do that same thing.
It depends what you want, and it depends what the family and your reaction is. I don't think my natural reaction would be, well, I'm going to get one back. I don't think that's how it happens.
And you know what? There's no winners, even if you do.
No, that's the thing.
At the end of it, are you then going, nailed it, even? You're not.
Got
it's
ya.
a dark hole that you're crawling into. Or that's probably a bit.
Hey, honey, don't ask me how my night was last night. Let's just say even Stevens.
One of the stories is that this woman was being cheated on, and the husband's friend couldn't believe that the husband was doing that to this woman that he also knew. So he told her, and then when she said, well, do you want to even up the score, the friend got involved.
Physically?
Yes.
This is. Do you know the other story I'd love to hear? When you find out that your partner's cheating with someone and they're in a relationship as well, has that person then gone, well, I'm going to cheat on you with their partner?
Oh, partner swap.
Partner swap.
Does that happen?
George has given us a call. Now, you were cheated on, George. What was the first thing going through your mind, George?
Yeah, well, when she came to me about the whole thing, it was a case of, I've been doing it for 10 years because I thought you did it 10 years ago.
What?
Oh, George.
Had she asked you if you did it 10 years ago?
No, that was the whole thing. I had kids that were 3 and 5 years old at the time, so if she decided that that's what she wanted to do, happy days. And then off you move on. But as far as I was concerned, for 10 years, we weren't good enough, and that's what happened to the kids. It was horrendous.
We weren't good enough.
If they're turning it around on you, George, there's a big problem. You've dodged a bullet there, George. So is it all over?
Oh, yeah, it's all over, and the kids don't see her and all that sort of stuff, so it's horrendous as far as that goes.
Yes, so
her idea was, because I'd missed out, and because she was selfish and all that, it didn't get any better, but I wanted to get back at you.
George,
Something that didn't happen.
Yeah, well, okay, so that's what you're saying. It never happened in the first place. So a family has, I guess, been
blown up,
destroyed because there hasn't been open communication about something.
But all her friends came to me with the same idea. Oh, well, if she's done it, you should go and do it. And that was the mentality, and I'm sitting there going, where did this come from? That's not how things work in the world.
It's not a game.
She cheated for 10 years and then played the victim, George.
Yeah, worst person in the world, why was me, and all that sort of stuff. I went, really?
Did you know who the guy was?
Yeah. It was on her way to work and back from work. It was fantastic. I'm going to pop in for a cup of tea on the way home.
And
because she doesn't come with a big sign saying I'm doing it, everyone looks at me and goes, well, what did you do wrong? I went, what did I do wrong? But how does that work?
Yeah.
Did she say that she had evidence of you cheating, George, or she just assumed?
No, she was under the same idea that because she was the PA at work.
Yep.
So she was the PA at work, and she went out with a solicitor at work. So she thought I was doing the same thing.
Gotcha.
I was moving up the ranks, so therefore I had PAs at work. So you must be doing the same thing.
What?
I think
sense.
I think a lot of it is about not taking responsibility for your own behaviour. There are always reasons and excuses for why we might do something, but in the end, you did make a choice.
Yeah, George, is she still with the other guy, and have you found someone else?
I dropped him like a hat.
Yes.
Said it was the worst thing, it was a big mistake, and I went, so all that effort and time that you put into it, and all like...
Yeah,
like,
George.
What a waste.
And then nothing come back for it, and I went, well, it would have been nice even if you rode off into the sunset.
Have you
did something.
Have you found love, George?
No, not this week.
Not this week.
Good on you, George. Sign on the way.
Best of luck, George.
This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
We've all done it at some point. Do you have
this morning?
Do you have somebody stored in your phone under a bit of a sneaky name? And maybe it's a hidden name because maybe you don't want somebody else to know that that person is in your phone. Or maybe it's a bit of a, I'm going to make fun of this person every time they call kind of name. Like when you call, Whipper, we all have different ones.
What have you got for me?
Sure. Well, when you're not blocked from 9:30 on a Friday morning to Monday morning, you're just Massive Mike.
That's good.
Massive Mike.
Yeah, you're
Well, I have the Imperial March from Star Wars whenever he rings me as
Why
the
is that?
ringtone.
Never seen Star Wars, so I assume there's a joke there somewhere. But Kate,
I
do you
think
know?
some people just have the death, like the funeral march when the the Death Star when the
for the
mother-in-law
mother-in-law.
might call.
Do you know what you've never answered for us? And I've asked so many times. So if I have somebody of profile in my phone, often I'll just have their initials. I won't have their name in case
the
someone
code?
finds my phone.
Like Kerry-Ann Kennelly,
Kennelly,
it's
yeah.
in as CAC.
Yeah,
Everyone
it's in
knows her as CAC.
Yeah, but I certainly have you as Kate Ritchie because I
Oh.
don't think that's a danger. But what do you have Chris Martin from Coldplay in your phone as?
I don't have him in there.
Tell us.
Marto?
I don't have him in there.
What is it?
Don't
It
Hand
is.
me your phone.
What do you have Chris Hemsworth as?
I don't have him in there.
Hemo.
Yeah, what
the
about
Hammer. Do you know he was called the Hammer when he worked on Home and Away?
the Hammer?
Yeah,
Hammer
and then he
time.
went on to hold a hammer. I mean, what are the chances?
What do you have Liam Hemsworth as?
I don't know. Lover boy.
Whoa!
No, I
Exclusive.
don't.
Kate
Gosh,
Ritchie
that
has
will
Liam.
be... Oh.
So if you do have this, we're going to go through a few. Maybe it's the ex-boyfriend or the ex-wife, because I saw this thing come up on Instagram last night, and there was a very funny girl on there who continues to change. I mean, it feels like a bit of a yo-yo relationship,
Yep.
but she continues to change the boyfriend's name back and forth from, like, Brett to Last Chance. Sometimes he comes up as Last Chance. Sometimes he comes up as Mr. I Will Never Do That Again.
Yep. Do not answer this and never do
Do you
that
know
again.
what? It is a great reminder. I've got a very good mate who works over in LA, and his motto is whenever I used to hear him on the phone working, his big line that he'd always say to people was, "Make it happen." Just make it happen.
Okay.
And I just thought that was a great line. So every time he pops up on my phone,
Make
it
it
just
happen.
says, "Make it happen."
Oh.
Give me a bit of motivation.
See, Tom's in my phone as Pest. So anytime you ring Tom, he just goes Pest and an alarm goes off. But I've got a guy in there, his name's Eddie, but we call him Grief. So he's in there as grief, gives us nothing but grief.
Oh, is that near Mad Mountain?
Yeah, Man Mountain.
Yeah.
Does he
Help
know?
Man.
Do these people know they are in as that name?
It's pretty open.
I had a friend who had someone she knew that she had in there as Pinocchio. Big fat liar, obviously.
Trade his nicknames. All right, good stuff.
Lizzie, have you done a bit of the second naming in the phone, Lizzie?
I have. I'm terrible. I actually don't remember their real names, so that's probably half the reason. But I've got 2 Minute Man and I've got Sugar Daddy.
Oh,
2 Minute Man and Sugar
does
Daddy.
does he love noodles? 2 Minute Man? Is that why he's there, Lizzie?
Maybe. I never asked that. I
Okay.
didn't have time.
2 Minute Man.
One of the guys here, part of the team, has just sent on the group chat. When I was dating, I'd name boys in my phone as Experiment 1, 2, 3.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Actually, I've got a little
Thanks,
emoji
Ollie.
game here for you. If you had somebody stored in your phone as, ready to play along,
Yep.
the lion emoji,
Yeah.
the slice of pizza emoji,
Yeah.
and then the poop emoji, what would they be?
What was the middle one? Lion, pizza,
What's
poo.
the lion? Is it to do with the Wizard of Oz or
Lion,
no?
Witch in the
It's-
Wardrobe, Simba.
No, you were close, Whip. Come on, lion pizza.
Lion piece of
Oh,
That's a good one. And I reckon we've all got someone in our phone that we're swapping that to right now.
This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
We are excited to have this lady in the studio.
we've just been informed that this is her last book. Help Me, Help My Teens, supporting teens through tough times. We absolutely adore this lady. It's the magnificent Maggie Dent.
Hi, guys. So good to be back. Pleasure to have you here.
How do you decide that this is your last book. How dare you say that to us?
Yeah, no, I went right back to the beginning, right back to where I taught, where I counselled, and I thought, I think I've done everything else. All the other books are out there that, you're going to see them forever. As I said to my boys, when I drop dead, I'm everywhere. Sorry about that.
Sorry, you won't leave.
But it felt right. And also, I'm an old wise woman that turns and says the next one's, it's their turn.
I think with your skill, Maggie, we all hang off every word. We're so keen to understand further because we're never, ever going to be more passionate about anything in our lives than our own kids.
That's exactly right. And we're all going to muck up. But once I think this is the big bit about this, is your teens are going to muck up because it's exactly what this age is about.
Yeah.
They're going to have bigger emotions than ever. They're going to get more forgetful. They're going to roll their eyes and, you breathe wrong, don't you? You aren't there yet, Kate.
Yeah.
We breathe wrong.
I'm getting pretty. It's getting pretty.
Tweens are already into
pretty close. Like I can feel it in the
Kate,
house.
You're buckling yourself up at the moment, Kate, aren't you? You're getting on the roller coaster and you're about to go.
I like to say big emotions and lots of emotions.
More intense.
And very intense. And now I understand why my mother, bless my mum, she probably wasn't as understanding maybe as I will be, because I remember her yelling at me down the hallway saying, make sure you take your evening primrose oil, Kate.
Yes.
Awesome.
And I'm like, that's about as understanding as it got at some point.
And I just know that the number of times, not only in my teaching career and my counselling career, and also the endless number of boys that were in my house, that a quiet conversation I had that came from a genuine place of heart connection and concern can absolutely change the direction of a young teenager's life who's not hearing any positive messages. So it's not just for parents, it's for those who I call lighthouse figures, the significant adult allies. And that landed on me when I was doing bus duty one day really early on before I did my breeding program. And the bus was late and there was a girl on the steps, and I just thought, she didn't look good. So I sat down next to her and just opened up a conversation. I didn't ask her how she was or what was going on, and we just had this chat, and I got her to laugh. And I talked about how crazy school is, where we think marks are everything. Never thought anything of it. I didn't teach her. And she came up to me at the end of the year and she had a beautiful card and a little gift, and she said, that conversation, I was planning to kill myself. That conversation turned my life. And that was when I realised we have enormous power with teens who are struggling, that we can say, look, it's really bumpy now, but you're going to get through this. We've all had this rocky road.
Yeah, I've got you.
But I've got your back.
I've got you, and I get it. But what is it about, can I just say, one quick question, Fitz, is about parenting throughout that period? Because let's be honest, we might have teens in the house, but us as parents, we are people too, with things going on in our lives and maybe our own mental health issues or problems at work, or relationships up and down, and stuff from our own childhood that is still unresolved. How do you kind of reach a place where you think, I kind of have to put aside what's going on for me to be there for the child during this period? How do you make peace with
Well, I think the big part is that you need to know the why. The why are those things happening? That's why the first part of the book is all the why. If you understand the brain changes, you understand the emotional changes, you understand they're wired to take risks, you understand that their impulse control's been turned off. They don't want to be like that. No. And when we can go, okay, I get that. I wish I'd known that when I was that age as well. And yes, what happened to us definitely imprints the way that we turn up as our teens, for our teens. But when really big stuff's happening, we know that they are dying by suicide over sometimes things you don't even know that's going on, and sometimes that's online trolling and that's sextortion. They don't come and tell us because they're so ashamed of what's going down, and we need to step forward.
Just because this is your last book, don't think you're getting away though.
Yeah, I know.
No, you're back in, Maggie.
I'd love to come back, guys. Love chatting to you.
Don't be a stranger.
The Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
Do you know what I find humorous, you guys?
Oh, here we go. Because this makes me nervous.
Viral videos on Brown Cardigan or something where someone's doing a doughy or a burnout and they had no idea that there was an undercover cop right there.
That's funny.
And 13 24 10, I'd love to hear from you. What did you get busted doing? Had no idea that there was an undercover cop around.
Okay. What do you got?
Well,
Is it that jumper you're wearing? Crimes Against Fashion?
I love this cop because you know what? He's actually trying to look after a family here. Facebook Marketplace, and he's selling his brand new Jeep. Now, he's taken $5,000 off for a quick sale. Now, I wouldn't usually believe people on Facebook Marketplace if they're trying to give you a bargain, but he just wanted to offload it, and a beautiful couple have rocked up, said they've got 3 young kids and they're struggling at the moment. So, usually he could sell it for $17,000, but he said, guys, I'm touched by your story. I'm going to give it to you for $12,000.
Oh, that's a good feel-good story.
Great, I love that.
She's gone, oh, thank you so much. You don't know how much this means to us. We'll transfer $11,000 through to you now, and then the other $1,000 when we get the registration changed over at Service New South Wales tomorrow. So he's gone, okay, sweet. I haven't seen it being cleared yet, but I've seen that you've done the transfer. No worries. I'll wait for it to go through tomorrow. Here's the Jeep. Look after yourselves. Have a great life. He's been stitched up.
Oh, no, why?
So then he's rung the bank the next day. It said it still hasn't gone through yet. Hasn't been cleared.
No.
Then they found out that it was a cheque that they submitted and it was a stolen cheque. So they would not even, because it's dodgy activity, they can't even try to put it through.
No.
Because it comes from someone else's account. And now he's starting to get a few of his mates who are coppers to track this couple down.
Okay, you don't want to be that guy right now.
Them and the 3 kids.
Yeah, you don't want to be that person.
Well, I don't know if there's 3 kids.
Oh, I
there,
know.
Kate.
I'm just playing along. I'm trying to play along. I'm a sucker for a good story, Fitz.
Mate, it happened. Did you see the story during the week where the couple lost $100,000 there on the project? Yeah. So this guy receives a phone call. He said that they gave me details about myself that only the bank would know. They then sent me, because I said, well, how do I know it's the bank? They then sent me a confirmation text message, which he then looked at and read the PIN back. So they had his number, and the text message came through looking exactly like other correspondence he'd had with the bank. He then gave them his final PIN code, and they took $100,000, the life savings.
That makes me feel
heartbreaking. Scary, isn't it?
I have done that a couple of times.
What, stolen $100,000?
Yes, and got away with it. I'm up to about $800,000 in doing it. No, but I haven't believed the bank.
I've done that too. I never do.
And found out that the bank has gone in an email, gone, no, we're serious. We're trying to ring you about some dodgy activity on your account. And I said, well, mate, I do play the pokies. I'm not laundering money. I'm there for 4 hours.
It's a bit of me time.
You've always got to ring them back. Like, just stop, hang up, and ring them back. And don't answer a number you don't know. Like, come on, guys. They're out there and they're ripping people off.
Yeah.
$50 billion we lost last year.
In Australia?
Yep. In Australia only, to scammers. Oh. My God.
The Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
Happy birthday to a beautiful lady by the name of Belinda J. Fitzgerald. My wife. It's her birthday today.
BJ.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, BJ.
Yes, her lovely mother, Chris, came over last night, cooked us dinner. We had a lovely night last night. Every year, our gift to each other is in words, and we say to the boys, it's an appreciation post, okay? So you get a card each, and you've got to write, and it's not just a simple basic line. You just got to write down what mum means to you.
I love that. Kate, is that what every mum dreams of?
I think so.
Just words?
I mean, they say that they just want a
year
card.
After year, just words?
It'd be nice to have a massage as well. But
okay.
But, I think that's a really nice idea.
Yeah, words are a girl's best friend.
So Huey, my eldest, comes into the room yesterday. He was quite frustrated. I can't, Dad, I'm not in the right mind frame. I can't do this. I can't. I said, well, buddy, and he goes, well, I've already scribbled out 2 lines. And I know you bought me the card, but I don't want to keep scribbling out lines. And I said, okay, well, it's up to you, buddy, because you know what? You have to do this by tomorrow morning, and Mum just has to receive the card. So when you're in the right mind frame, do it. So he comes back a couple of hours later. I need to read this out. It's very good. Okay, so he says, dear Mum, words cannot describe how much of a loving person you are. You are so positive, and that positivity spreads like a sickness that makes everyone around happy, which is a very hard thing to do.
That's so cute.
You provide so much support to the family, and it's fair to say that if we didn't have you, we would be hopeless.
That's true.
Then he writes, even when you're gone for the weekend, your absence has a severe impact on each family member.
Guilt trip.
I wish you another happy birthday full of love and laughter from the bottom of my heart. I love you, Huey. He's so right. When you are gone, there is a severe impact on each family member. He even wrote in there, in brackets, including Beastie and Luna, the dog and the cat.
Oh, the whole family.
But it's,
I love the spreading like sickness line. That was not, didn't quite hit the mark. But that's a big deal. How old? 14?
14.
That's a big
Do you know,
deal.
and that's a COVID background too, suggesting that happiness can spread like a virus.
Yeah, it
oh,
is.
guys, I've come down with the happiness virus. I can tell you haven't stopped smiling since Wednesday.
Yeah. It's hereditary. It gets passed down, the happiness virus. But it is showing. It's funny because we're trying to teach the boys to show their emotions a little bit more, but they're at that. So Huey's at the teenage years now where he's finding it difficult.
Yeah.
So we even the talks around the table now is getting into, obviously sitting down and talking about girls. We're talking about alcohol, drugs, and you can tell as soon as you bring up these subjects, they just start to
hide
curl
away
up. They can't sit still. I don't want to be a part of this.
How are you going with language? How are you going with controlling bad language? Ours is getting loose. It's getting really loose.
They're dropping F-bombs?
Oh, but they think it's funny. And then I gave them a big talk on Saturday night about language at dinner because Francesca's worked out a couple of words and she thinks it's funny to say. And when a little kid says it, she's 4, everybody giggles. Yeah. Then we put on a movie. I can't remember what it was called, but it was about a dog called Buck.
Uncle Buck?
No, just Buck. And then very quickly, we had a lot of laughs around the word Buck.
Okay, rhymes with gotcha truck.
Yeah, and there's even one part where they're all giggling because the dog runs off and this guy says something like, for Buck's sake. So they're playing on a little bit for the adults, but for the kids.
Yeah.
And then they start saying it, and then it becomes, he said it.
Don't get me wrong, though. I'm awkward doing it. Because this is all new territory for me. To sit down and have these major chats to your kids. There's moments where I'm halfway through the chat and I'm looking at BJ going, I need your help here.
No, well, just go with what...
I think it's actually really nice that you are implementing that in your home.
But these are all chats HR has had with you, mate. So if you just write down notes when you're in those meetings and then pass them on to the kids.
I just thought it was appropriate to have HR there at the dinner table with us last night, just to make sure I was getting everything right.
Yeah, here we go. Written warning.
I'll just interject there, Fitzy. You're getting that wrong.
This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
Let's talk about this because the cost of living, as we have spoken about a lot on this show. Do you know a stat I heard this morning? That with the average wage here in Sydney, we'll call it Australia if you want. Why don't we round it up? Let's call it Australia. The average wage in Australia and the average housing cost means that you would need to save for 46 years for a deposit to buy the average house here. I'm going to bring it back in Sydney. 46 years
just for the deposit.
Just for the deposit on the average priced house here in Sydney.
That's hopeful, isn't it?
You're not saving much, though, are you? You could save a bit more, couldn't you?
Well, that's what they're saying with the average wage. If you're putting X amount or whatever's recommended as your average money aside
every week after you find the money to pay for everything else. The problem is too when you know you're meant to be saving, but you have such a long runway. If someone was to suggest you need to be saving for 46 years, you kind of throw the towel in, don't you? So the savings don't really exist because you're thinking, what's the point anyway? I'm a lifelong renter. Yeah, I'm going to prioritise other things because that seems unattainable.
Yeah, and that's not an issue. You can rent for your entire life. Go for it. It doesn't really matter. But the whole Aussie dream, and they say that only 25% of people in a couple of years' time will be living in houses that have the picket fence in the backyard.
Where's this going? Because it feels quite sad.
It does, sorry. Let me put it to you this way. There's a 28-year-old girl and she's come out and she said, because of the crisis, I'm going to need to couple up in the hope of finding some accommodation to live. She's been renting for a very long time. Rent's about to go up $50 in the next month. So she said the only way forward is to find somebody to be in a relationship with or share a bed with. That's how I have to do it now. Because without that, then I don't get the life. So it's a bit of a burrito coming back up. Yeah. Let's not worry too much about the sound effect from the internal burp I just did.
Sorry, we'll integrate a fajita into the break.
Disgusting.
Oh my God.
Rent's going up. Ooh, and so's me breakfast.
Better than going out, if you know what I mean. Anything could have happened in here, Kate Ritchie.
Okay, so she needs to share a bed, hopefully not with you, because you can't keep your insides in.
Could you imagine that moment, though, of going, okay, well, you seem nice enough. You appear like a clean individual. Yeah, I'll share a bed with you. I don't know you. But I suppose I'm going to have to...
No, you don't have to, mate. You don't have to.
So you would...
I do think people consider the fact that they need to maybe, I want to find someone for love, but I also think I need to... life may be better if I can do it in a team.
Yep.
Remember years ago there was that trend of groups of people putting all of their money in. There was this wave of if none of us can afford to buy a house on our own. So, but if 3 couples do,
yep.
then perhaps it may be an option.
And it was foolproof. Like nothing would go wrong when you went in. When you go in with 6 other friends into a house, it is a perfect world and nothing ever happens.
Fits in Whipper with Kate Ritchie is a Nova podcast. For more great shows like this, download the Nova Player via the App Store or Google Play.
The Nova Player.